Okay, so today is a bit of a heavy one. So it turns out that the founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, has been arrested in France, and this is pretty big because essentially Telegram is one of those messaging apps that has its own controversies. But just to get you up to speed, and if you're anyone who doesn't know what it is, let me explain to you quickly. So, Telegram is essentially a messenger app where, as of right now, I believe they have over like 900 million active users that are using the app, of that are just constantly using it. Now, mind you, a good portion of these is most likely bots that have increased some of the uptime because Telegram is known for having some very sketchy people that use it. Like a lot of people are very not the best people on the planet who are using this app. So essentially, if you want to understand like why a lot of scammers are like drawn to this app, we just take a quick look at their terms of service, so like their privacy stuff. So here it says cloud chat. So Telegram is a cloud service. We store messages, photos, videos, documents from your cloud chats on our servers so that you can access your data from any of your devices anytime without having to rely on third-party backups. All data is stored heavily encrypted, and the encryption keys in each case are stored in several other data centers in different jurisdictions. This way, local engineers or physical intruders cannot get access to user data. Secret chats. Secret chats use end-to-end encryption. This means that all data is encrypted with a key that only you and the recipient know. There is no way for us or anybody else without direct access to your device to learn what content is being sent in those messages. We do not store your secret chats on our servers. We also do not keep any logs for messages in secret chats. So after a short period of time, we no longer know who or when you accessed via secret chats. For the same reasons, secret chats are not available in the cloud. You can only access those messages from the device they were sent to or from. So what this essentially means is that you have a lock on a key to a door, and I only made 2 copies. Okay? You have access to the door, and the other person has access to the door. And only you two have those 2 copies. And nobody else has it, okay? The only way for anyone to get into the door is if you give the person your key. That's how you get in. So, now that you understand how it works, while I am, of course, a proponent of privacy, and I always want people to have as much privacy as they can because a lot of companies do exploit their, users. In some cases, what happens is that when you have total privacy, it's basically lawless land out here. It's the wild, wild west. Now, there has been reports of stuff where you have trafficking going on Telegram. You have drugs being sold here. You have, exploitation. There is a lot of stuff that happens on just this one app alone. So, I'm trying to make you understand this app, while it's great if you just want to keep stuff private, in terms of other stuff, because it's also not as moderated, you can kind of see how this can backfire immediately. And there's a particular case I want to highlight for you guys because this really brings into light how bad it can get when it comes to Telegram. And so the case we're going to look at is a bit of a deep fake outage in South Korea. So strap in. It's going to be a bit of a long one. So essentially, we're going to start off with a tweet here that really summarizes the whole case. It says that you're breaking another nth room crime in Korea. Korean men have been creating multiple chat rooms using Telegram and spreading personal information of women around them, including their family members, coworkers, and classmates. They're also categorized by the regions they live in. There are so many people of Daegu that they made room season 4 for only Daegu itself. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. I do not speak Korean. The offenders entered those rooms by sending 10 pics of a victim and making sexually deep fake vids using those pics. The offenders gathered in a specific room by sending the victim's basic information to them. Name, Jane Doe, name of her school, her year of birth, all that stuff. If they think they know the same person, they uploaded the victim's pics and made deep fake vids. So it's kind of a pretty intense situation down in South Korea, as you have noticed. And so, essentially, what's going on here is that you know how we mentioned earlier that Telegram has end-to-end encryption. Basically, you only have the key. So, essentially, if somebody makes a group chat of all of this stuff, all right, you essentially have somebody who, well, you have all these people who only have this one key to that one door. You cannot get in. And because it's so private, the only way someone is going to find it, well, unless there's some, I don't know, some admin override or something, is like if somebody leaks it. And naturally, of course, I don't entirely know if this stuff got leaked out, but it was discovered. So that's how you know. So, but I do want to look a bit deeper into this case before we go on to the actual arrest. So I'm going to open up an article here by BBC, where it talks about this case a bit more in depth. And of course, I'm going to pull from some other articles as well, because those also have some numbers in there that I think you guys would like. All right. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. South Korea faces deep fake porn emergency. South Korea's president has urged authorities to do more to eradicate the country's digital sex crime epidemic amid a flood of deepfake pornography targeting young women. Authorities, journalists, and social media users have recently identified a large number of chat groups where members were creating and sharing sexually explicit deepfake images, including some of underage girls. Deepfakes are generated using artificial intelligence and often combine the face of a real person with a fake body. South Korea's media regulator is holding an emergency meeting in the wake of the discoveries. So, underage victims. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol on Tuesday instructed authorities to thoroughly investigate and address these digital sex crimes and to eradicate them. Recently, deepfake videos targeting an unspecified number of people have been circulating rapidly on social media. President Yoon said at a cabinet meeting, "The victims are often minors and the perpetrators are mostly teenagers." The spate of chat groups linked to individual schools and universities across the country were discovered on the social media app Telegram over the past week. Users, mainly teenage students, would upload photos of people they knew, both classmates and teachers, and other users would then turn them into sexually explicit deepfake images. The discoveries followed the arrest of the Russian-born founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, on Saturday after it was alleged that child exploitation, drug trafficking, and fraud were taking place on the encrypted messaging app. All right, so in case you were wondering, like, roughly how many people were doing this, in case you were wondering, so according to this article I also have here, so according to the country's police agency, 267 cases of deepfake crimes of a sexual nature were reported in the first 7 months of the year, up from 180 last year and nearly double in 2021. So this was roughly taken in about like 2019-ish, but this is all coming out now. When data first began to be collated, of the 178 people charged, 113 were teenagers. And one Telegram chat room has attracted about 220,000 members who create and share deepfake images by doctoring photographs of women and girls. And so, essentially, now you're understanding why Telegram, has its controversies. And, of course, under South Korean law, making sexually explicit deepfakes with the intention of distributing them is a punishable by 5 years in prison or a fine of 50 million won or $37,500, which in my opinion is very, very light. So, whatever. This is an opinion piece, but you get the point. So anyways, so as you can see here, naturally, just, looking into Telegram itself and looking at what people are capable of, on any other messaging app, people, you'd be able to find these messages and be like, okay, I can extrapolate this. Now, whether you're not a fan of it in terms of privacy, I understand. But I'm just telling you guys that, essentially, when it's the Wild Wild West, people go crazy in the Wild Wild West. And just to take a look here. I actually have a map from Twitter where it actually shows like, so somebody says I had to compile, like put stuff on a map where each like of these, stuff was located. And so if we look at the map over here, let me just pull it up for you guys real quick. So it says here, a feminist in South Korea has mapped out schools where deepfake child exploitation was created by male students using photos of girls on Telegram. The map is being updated. So this was updated as of August 27th at 8:36 a.m. So this could be updated again. But as far as we know here, I can't read this, unfortunately. But here you go. It shows that like it's a lot of different schools that have been up with this stuff. And the fact of the matter is that on Telegram, of the numbers, as I said earlier, only they have access to the key. So imagine all the other stuff that hasn't been found out yet, that hasn't been discovered. And even my own experience on Telegram, I can tell you know how many times I've gotten a job offer? I've gotten so many of them. And miraculously, that or for some reason you get someone named like Susan, you don't answer Susan, and Susan somehow the account it gets deleted. Make it make sense. Don't ask me about, I don't know, man. Susan had a job for me. I guess she didn't want to share it. But essentially, in talks about like with the arrest of stuff, you can see how people can get carried away. And don't even start on like the drugs that people can stuff that they be selling on this app. So essentially, privacy, like total privacy, can equal the wild, wild west. So hence, moderation is sometimes required, as you can see here. But anyways, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I'm actually here to talk about. All right, so essentially now, we're going to be looking at this New York Times article where it talks about Mr. Durov getting arrested. So prosecutors in France said on Monday that Pavel Durov, the entrepreneur who runs the Telegram messaging platform, had been arrested in connection with an investigation opened last month into criminal activity on the app and a lack of cooperation with law enforcement. Mr. Durov, 39, was detained on Saturday at Le Bourget airport near Paris after landing on a private plane from Azerbaijan. Hopefully I got that right. He had not been charged and remained in custody, which can be extended through Wednesday, according to prosecutors. Laurent Bicot, the Paris prosecutor, said in a statement that the arrest was part of an investigation opened on July 8 against a person unnamed on a raft of potential charges, including complicity in the distribution of child exploitation and selling of drugs, money laundering, and refusal to cooperate with law enforcement. The investigation is being handled by cybercrime and anti-fraud specialist. Ms. Bicot said it is within the procedural framework that Pavel Durov was questioned by the investigators. She said it was unclear whether of the charges listed by Ms. Bicot would be held against Mr. Durov. So we're seeing here, this is just the whole premise behind why he's been arrested in the first place. And so now, in France, complex cases are handled by special magistrates who have broad investigative powers and can place defendants under formal investigation, charging them when they believe the evidence warrants. But the magistrates can later drop charges if they do not think evidence is sufficient to proceed to trial, and cases can take years. Mr. Durov arrest has become a point of contention in the debate about free speech on the internet. President Emmanuel Macron of France on Monday dismissed accusations from supporters of Telegram that the arrest was an example of government censorship. The arrest of the president of Telegram on French soil took place as a part of ongoing judicial investigation. Mr. Macron said in a statement posted on X, "It is no way a political decision. It is up to the judges to rule on the matter." It was an unusual step from Mr. Macron, as French leaders usually refrain from commenting on the early stages of criminal investigations. So looking at it here, because Telegram is not really moderated and it's because it's so private, people will look at it as an outlet of free speech. Now, where the free speech argument kind of falls flat for me is when the free speech comes with actual degeneracy on an app. Now, this isn't a philosophy class, but I can tell you for sure, if there's exploitation going on, I don't care what kind of free speech you are asking for, there's also freedom of consequences. So that's besides the point. So it's kind of interesting how this kind of can divulge into a free speech, topic, but here we are. France is deeply committed to freedom of expression and communication, to innovation, and to the spirit of entrepreneurship, Mr. Macron wrote. It will remain so. Telegram has more than 900 million users, with growth driven partly by a commitment to free speech. Telegram's light oversight over content on the platform has helped people living under authoritarian governments communicate, but has also made the app a haven for harmful content. Telegram works as a standard messaging app, but also hosts channels and groups in which large numbers of people can broadcast ideas and communicate with minimal moderation. Telegram has long been on the radar of law enforcement agencies because terrorist organizations, drug sellers, weapon dealers, and far-right extremist groups have used it for communicating, recruiting, and organizing. National governments, especially those in the European Union, have intensified pressure on technology companies to address disinformation, online extremism, and child safety, and the spread of illicit material. The arrest of Mr. Durov, who was born in the Soviet Union, could further strain relations between France and Russia, which are already at a low point over French support for Ukraine in the war against Russia. The Russian embassy in France said in a statement on Sunday that it had asked the French authorities to clarification on the arrest and requested consular access to the Telegram founder. Mr. Durov, whose net worth was estimated by Bloomberg at more than $9 billion, left Russia in 2014 after he lost control of Vkontakte, the rival to Facebook in Russia. The year before, he had founded Telegram, which is now based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Mr. Durov has citizenship in France and the Emirates, according to Telegram. In a statement on Telegram on Sunday, the company said it is absurd to claim that a platform or its owner are responsible for abuse on that platform. Mr. Durov, the company added, has nothing to hide. Hopefully you have a whole picture on what's essentially been going on with Telegram, because essentially a lot of governments have its eye on Telegram because there's literally barely any moderation. There's a lot of opportunity for people to also, go out and basically spread whatever information they want. However, to its credit, it also helps people who are, as it said in the article, under authoritarian regimes or under very heavy oppression to go and, tell and, go out and spread the proper information. Because as we all know, lots of media outlets, they don't give you the full picture. A lot of media outlets can be very biased. Like where I live, for instance, a lot of protests that happen, you won't see much of it on the mainstream news. On social media, you'll see it, but on the mainstream news, forget about it. So it goes to show you that these alternative medias have their pros and cons. However, just like, say, for example, an honest journalist can navigate through Telegram and give the proper information, an extremist can also navigate on Telegram and give misinformation as well. And so the whole concept of moderation is a very, very tricky one, because you want to give people as much, freedom as possible, but at the same time, you also have to still, regardless, moderate. Even if everyone's an upstanding citizen, you still have to moderate to a degree because, you don't want people to get carried away, as we've seen in this case over here. Just like I showed you with South Korea. You have all these people who are running wild on Telegram, going nuts, spreading deep fakes, or whatever the case may be. And so, because in this case here, the founder is not very helpful when it comes to the whole, helping with investigations and giving information, it kind of paints a picture where it's like, what is he actually doing with, with his app? What is actually going on? Is he just blindsiding all the people who are on his app? Is he a part of something? Who knows? We can only speculate because he has only been arrested. So no official charges have been dropped, as we've seen here. So unfortunately, there's not much else to really go off of except in the article. And mind you, okay, something I do want to point out is that often when they make an arrest like this, most of the time you'll notice that there's a case that's been building up for years. Okay, it's like If they catch you on some charges, that's because they took their sweet time to get a case and then arrest you. So, essentially, while in France it seems to be a little bit different with how the system works, to my knowledge, especially at least in the United States, if they get a good case, they are not going to arrest you outright because you can get a lawyer and weasel your way out. No, they're going to take their sweet time, build it up, and then poof, you are arrested. Just look at Andrew Tate, for instance. How much stuff has he self-snitched on, or self-snitched on himself for, and then now the Romanian government can detain him. So they're probably going to detain him again, and actually I believe he was detained again, actually, because, oh, what happens? More stuff keeps coming out. And so, yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to take a look at. So, as you've seen here, Telegram's founder is arrested. We're going to be on the sidelines waiting for more news about it. And I'm looking forward to see where the story goes because, if there's some real degeneracy going on Telegram, which there is, I want to see how, how the conversation of like moderation really goes. But as far as it seems right now, it's probably not going to be looking good for him. But like I said, we can only speculate because we don't know what else is going on. So anyways, with all that being said, if you enjoyed this type of content and me looking into this kind of stuff, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and follow my socials down in the description below. Leave a dislike if you want to, but I'm heading out. See ya.